What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be doing Matthew 14 Bible study. If you're new to my channel, I do Bible studies, vlogs, all the things, kind of. But if you want to go check out the previous chapters, 1 through 13, feel free to do that. I'll try to put a card up here, or pretty sure it's up here, if you want to go check those out. Anywho, let's get into Matthew 14. So I used a commentary thing that I read, and I'll happily put that down below in the description. But I'm not totally sure if I'm going to put the verses on the screen in this video. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But I'm definitely putting them in the description box, so you'll be able to see the verses either way. Matthew. Why was there so much vibrato in that? Matthew. Chapter 14, verse 1. At that time, Herod the tetrarch heard of the fame of Jesus. So tetrarch was one of the 4 rulers that ruled over a divided area of land. And whoa. And Herod ruled over Perea in Galilee. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how you say it, Perea. And before I really get into this, whatever you hear from me, don't just take my word for it. Go to the Bible, do your own research. Just because I don't know everything, I just want to be here to Bible study. I don't know if that makes any sense, but there it is. And okay, so I'm just gonna go on to verse 2. And said unto his servants, This is John the Baptist. He is risen from the dead, and therefore mighty works do shew forth themselves in him. For Herod had laid hold on John, and bound him, and put him in prison for Herodias' sake, his brother Philip's wife. Okay, I'm gonna read one more verse, then we'll just get into that. For John said unto him, It is not lawful for thee to have her. Or maybe 2 more verses. And when he would have put him to death, he feared the multitude because they counted him as a prophet. Just kidding, one more. But when Herod's birthday was kept, the daughter of Herodias danced before them and pleased Herod, which I'm pretty sure you pronounce her name Salome. So here's the thing. Herod of Antipas had this half-brother, and his name was Aristobulus. I'm not totally sure how you pronounce that, but this is his half-brother. And then this half-brother has a daughter, and her name was Herodias. And Herodias married her uncle, Herod Philip. So basically, being the uncle was the brother of Herod of Antipas, who's the Herod who kills John the Baptist. Which I might be going through this fast. I had to do a whole diagram to get there, but Herodias, who eventually marries the Herod of Antipas in this chapter. Herodias and her uncle, Herod Philip, they had a daughter, and her name was Salome, and that's the daughter that danced. So, But it went against Leviticus 18:16, and there's just a lot of things going on with that anyways. So John the Baptist called them out on it. So we're going to go back and we're going to read Leviticus 18:16 just to, get a sense of what was going on. And I'm sorry, I have the KJV version, so it's not necessarily the PG version. It's not even that bad. Hold on. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy brother's wife. It is thy brother's nakedness. There we go. I'm just going to reread verse 6. But when Herod's birthday was kept, the daughter of Herodias danced before them and pleased Herod, whereupon he promised with an oath to give her whatsoever she would ask. Hi. Where's my cat? And she, being before instructed of her mother, said, Give me here John Baptist's head in a charger. Sorry, it doesn't say John the Baptist, and that just, I don't know, throws me off a little. Verse 9, And the king was sorry, nevertheless, for the oath's sake, and them which sat with him at meat, he commanded it to be given her. And he sent and beheaded John in the prison. And his head was brought in a charger and given to the damsel, and she brought it to her mother. At 12, and his disciples came and took up the body and buried it and went and told Jesus. So John's disciples went and they told Jesus, warned Jesus, but you can go back and look at Luke 13:31 through 33, and it's kind of like the ending of the whole John the Baptist thing, but in Luke. Okay, so Luke 13:31 through 33. The same day there came certain of the Pharisees, saying unto him, Get thee out and depart hence, for Herod will kill thee. And he said unto them, Go ye and tell that fox, Behold, I will cast out devils, and I do cures today and tomorrow, and the third day I shall be perfected. Nevertheless, I must walk today and tomorrow and the day following, for it cannot be that a prophet perish out of Jerusalem. I'm just going to go on to verse 34 and 35. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, which killest the prophets, and stonest them that are sent unto thee, how often would I have gathered thy children together, as a hen doth gather her brood under her wings, and ye would not. Verse 35. Behold, your house is left unto you desolate, and verily I say unto you, ye shall not see me until the time come when ye shall say, Blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord. After the disciples of John had warned and told Jesus, it says, When Jesus heard of it, he departed thence by ship into a desert place apart. And when the people had heard thereof, they followed him on foot out of the city. So that kind of shows their faith and the fact that they would follow him on foot. But Jesus, when he had heard of it, he departed thence by ship into a desert place apart. So he wanted to be, so it kind of portrays the effect that he wanted to be alone, you know, and that he was going to a desert place away from people. And of course and in verse 14, and Jesus went forth and saw a great multitude and was moved with compassion toward them, and he healed their sick. And if you go to Mark 6:34, it says, And Jesus, when he came out, saw much people and was moved with compassion toward them, because they were as sheep not having a shepherd, and he began to teach them many things. And when the day was now far spent, his disciples came unto him and said, This is a desert place, and now the time is far past. And it kind of continues in that same thing. It says, And when it was evening, this is verse 15 of Matthew, and when it was evening, his disciples came to him, saying, This is a desert place, and the time is now past. Send the multitude away, that they may go into the villages and buy themselves victuals, which was basically food. But Jesus said unto them, They need not depart, give ye them to eat. And they said unto him, We have here but 5 loaves and 2 fishes. He said, Bring them hither to me. And he commanded the multitude to sit down on the grass, and took the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes, and looking up to heaven, he blessed and brake and gave the loaves to his disciples, and the disciples to the multitude. So just like he looked up to heaven and blessed his food, so thanking God the Father for our food. Verse 20, and they did all eat and were filled, and they took up of the fragments that remained 12 baskets full. So not only did they not have enough for the people to begin with, but they were left with leftovers. That's how abundant God is when we give what we have to him, and then he takes like all that we have given him and he makes it abound more. There's a verse, I'll have to find it. So I found the verse. It's Luke 6:38, and it says, Give, and it shall be given unto you, good measure, pressed down and shaken together and running over, shall men give into your bosom. Sorry. For with the same measure that ye meet withal, it shall be measured to you again. So there you go. Like, God is faithful. He is abundant in his giving, and he definitely gives us more than we give him. So it's just the act of our hearts giving to God what we have. And that's what the disciples did. That's what they did with the 5 loaves of bread and the 2 fishes. So yeah. Okay, and then and they that had eaten were about 5,000 men, beside women and children. And straightway Jesus constrained his disciples to get into a ship and to go before him unto the other side, while he sent the multitudes away. And when he had sent the multitudes away, he went up into a mountain apart to pray, and when the evening was come, he was there alone. I just really like the sentiment of Jesus being alone to pray to his Father, just like going away from the crowds, sending the multitudes away just so that he could have that alone time with God. In verse 24, it says, "But the ship was now in the midst of the sea, tossed with waves, for the wind was contrary. And in the fourth watch of the night, Jesus went unto them, walking on the sea." I believe the fourth watch is like 3 a.m. It's what I think I saw in the commentary. Like I said, just, go look this stuff up. Verse 26, "And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, 'It is a spirit,' and they cried out for fear." And when I first read this, it was more like a recognition thing. Like, we need to be able to recognize Jesus in our hard times, well, in all times, but to know that he's there, to know that he's coming, and just to be able to recognize his spirit and his voice and things. Verse 27, "But straightway Jesus spake unto them, saying, Be of good cheer, it is I, be not afraid. And Peter answered him and said, Lord, if it be thou, bid me come unto thee on the water." So Peter knew that if it was the Lord, if it was Jesus, that he would be able to not only be able to walk on the water himself, but to allow Peter to walk to him. And that's another thing. Like, Peter was willing to walk to him amongst the waves and the seas and everything. He was willing to walk out there just to be with Jesus. And he said, and Jesus said, and he said, "Come." And when Peter was come down out of the ship, he walked on the water to go to Jesus. But when he saw the wind boisterous, he was afraid. And beginning to sink, he cried, saying, "Lord, save me." So another thing in this, when he saw what was happening around him, Peter was afraid. He knew that the Lord was with him. He knew that he was there. And as soon as the first signs of trouble, when he was beginning to sink, he cried out, saying, "Lord, save me." Knowing that the Lord could save him, but having lost sight of what was going on around him, or having lost sight of Jesus in that moment, looking towards the waves and the winds, but nevertheless calling out to the Lord to save him. Verse 31, "And immediately Jesus stretched forth his hand and caught him." Jesus is here when we call out for him to save us. He immediately stretches forth his hand and caught him. He catches Peter and said unto him, "O thou of little faith, wherefore didst thou doubt?" So why do we doubt? We trust him. We're like, "Lord, allow me to do these things for you. Allow me to walk on the water to you." And as soon as we're given that opportunity, we lose sight of what's really important. We lose sight of Jesus, our focal point, and we're surrounded by everything else that's going on. We begin to sink and needing to call out, "Lord, save me." Verse 32, "And when they were come into the ship, the wind ceased." So once we put our trust in Jesus, once we call out for him to save us, he comes in and he saves us, he catches us, and he comes into our boat, and the winds cease. A God of nature, a God of everything. Jesus didn't need to prove himself, but this was kind of a moment for the disciples to eventually, we'll go on to the next verses, and they praise him, they worship him in this moment because they recognize him as the Son of God, being able to control all manners of nature and wind and everything. And I'll have to go find which book it is, but it's I believe they said, what manner of man is this that he is able to control the sea and the winds? But I'll find that right after we read the next 3 verses, and then we're done with this chapter. "Then they that were in the ship came and worshipped him, saying, Of a truth thou art the Son of God. And when they were gone over, they came into the land of Gennesaret. I have had so much time to look up how to say this, and I'm sorry, I just know. 35. "And when the men of that place had knowledge of him, they sent out into all that country round about, and brought unto him all that were diseased." 36. "And besought him that they might only touch the hem of his garment, and as many as touched were made perfectly whole." Because without Jesus, we aren't whole. We're broken and we're diseased. But if we just touch the hem of his garment, we come and we are perfectly whole. And let me find that verse. Okay. Matthew 8:27. What? I don't know, let me just go back to Matthew 8. Okay. What? Okay, so in Matthew 8, it was when Jesus was sleeping on the boat. And in verse 24, it says, And behold, there arose a great tempest in the sea, and so much that the ship was covered with the waves, but he was asleep. Verse 25, and his disciples came to him and awoke him, saying, Lord, save us, we perish. And so a similar thing had already happened. You know, we had like the waves coming in, the sea was against them. They were focusing on that. They come to the Lord, they say, Lord, save us, we perish. So a similar thing had already happened, and yet it was happening again with their faith still being lacking in the fact that they were like, well, Lord, if it be thou, let me come to the water to you. And then you begin to sink. And then they're like, Lord, save us, we perish. And Jesus has a very similar response in verse 26 of Matthew 8 and says, and he saith unto them, why are ye so fearful? Oh, just kidding, no so. Why are ye fearful, O ye of little faith? Then he arose and rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a great calm. In verse 27, but the men marveled, saying, what manner of man is this, that even the winds and the sea obey him? So they already knew that the sea and the winds, that they would be obeyed by him. Yet it still took so much for them to just come, and verse 33 of Matthew 14 and say, Then they that were in the ship came and worshipped him, saying, of a truth, thou art the Son of God. Like out of all of the miracles that he had already performed, it just took this, it took this whole time for them to recognize all together that thou art the Son of God. Verse 34, and when they were gone over, they came into the land of, right. And verse 35, and when the men of that place had knowledge of him, they sent out into all that country round about and brought unto him all that were diseased. Oh wait, I already read all this. What am I doing? Oh, I was just finding the verse. Right. Okay, my bad. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. Feel free to comment anything down below, thoughts, questions. I can't guarantee that I'll have the answers, but I'll definitely try to go find the answers for you, or just chat. If you're looking for a more like private chat, you can always DM me on Instagram. All of my stuff is down in the description box below. And that's a wrap. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.